Good morning everyone. My name is Sarah Doherty and I'm the Marketing and Events Coordinator here at Hornbill. I'd like to welcome and thank you for joining today's webinar where we'll be having a presentation on simplifying the challenges of modern ITSM with Hornbill Service Manager with Manish Dave, Relationship Manager, and Connor Hamilton, Product Specialist here at Hornbill. Just to inform you that Delegate Auto will be muted during the presentation to help facilitate flow and timekeeping. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the GoToMeeting question facility on the right-hand side of your screen. We will collate questions and answer them at the end of the presentation. Thank you for taking the time to attend. I will now pass you over to Manish and Connor.
Hi there everyone, thank you for joining our webinar today. Myself and Connor will be taking you through an overview of Hornbill Service Manager and we'll be showing you how we've helped simplify the challenges of modern service management. By the way, we have experienced a few audio issues this morning, so if you are having any problems, please do let us know by typing a question in the box on your screen. So to begin with, I will be taking you through some of the key challenges that we've identified and addressed in Service Manager. Connor will then take you through a demo of the solution in action, and then we'll be closing by looking at our commercial offering, some of Hornbill's key differentiators, and our Supportworks to Service Manager migration package. So to begin with, Hornbill have been in the ITSM industry now for over 20 years, supplying Supportworks, the system all of our attendees are using today. We've used the feedback our customers have given us through Supportworks and our experience in the industry to identify a number of key challenges, not just with Supportworks, but with other traditional ITSM software that's out there. The number one challenge we hear about is upgrades. They're an expensive, time-consuming process that can be quite painful. A situation we often hear about is where customers plan on upgrading Supportworks, but for one reason or the other, the project gets delayed, and before you know it, there's a big gap between the version you're on to the latest version, causing a more complex, costly project. Supportworks is a traditional piece of on-premise software whereby Hornbill will release a new version, you download it, you test it, you deploy it to a live environment, but the point being, you have to stop what you're doing in order to carry out the upgrade. So this is an area where we really try to address in Service Manager and to really make your life a lot simpler, and we'll show you how we've done that shortly. Customization. The reason a lot of our customers purchased Supportworks in the first place is because it's so customizable. However, this does come with a disadvantage because the more you customize a solution, the more difficult it becomes to support. And going back to my first point, the more difficult it becomes to upgrade because you have to reapply those customizations at the point of an application upgrade. So again, we really tried to address this area in Service Manager and we'll show you how shortly. Complexity. ITSM is complex enough at the best of times without having a complex solution behind it. Supportworks is very feature-rich and powerful, but it does require a high degree of knowledge and expertise. And that naturally leads on to training, which can be time-consuming and costly. Another situation we often hear about is where a Supportworks administrator leaves an organization and they take all of that knowledge with them, and their replacement does not know the system as well, leaving a gap in knowledge on your service desk, which can cause all sorts of problems. So again, this is another area we've tried to really address in Service Manager. Usability. So Supportworks is very feature-rich and powerful. However, I'm sure you'd agree, if we compare it to the type of apps that we use outside of the office, it's not particularly intuitive by today's standards. For the most part, we actually have to communicate outside of Supportworks. So we'll log a ticket in Supportworks, but you'll be asking questions of your colleagues, whether it's a conversation by the coffee machine or an instant message or an email. And that communication is not stored in Supportworks. It's not reusable. And this is an area that we refer to as tacit knowledge, and we'll come onto that shortly. It's an area we've really tried to tap into in Service Manager, and Connor will show you that in action in a moment. Reporting is another area that our customers have fed back to us, which is quite challenging in Supportworks. So again, we've tried to make life a lot simpler in Service Manager. So all of what I've mentioned leads to a high total cost of ownership with upgrades, with consultancy, with training. With the hidden costs you might not think about, such as the infrastructure costs to host a server, the electricity costs, the cooling costs. And all of what I've mentioned leads to a high total cost of ownership, and we're all looking for ways to make our spending more efficient. So Hornbill had a light bulb moment, or a eureka moment if you like, where we looked at the challenges our customers were facing, and we looked at how the world has changed with the mobile and cloud revolutions. And we used that to create a collaboration platform that allows your colleagues and your teams to interact in a much more modern, intuitive way, where information that matters to you comes to you. On our platform, various apps are available. Today we'll be focusing on Hornbill Service Manager, but we'll be touching on some of the other apps, including Document Manager, Customer Manager and Configuration Manager. These applications can work standalone or side by side to leverage each other. We've really tried to innovate by marrying best practice service management with familiar social and consumer mobile concepts to create a system that allows you to share knowledge and ideas, collaborate globally, getting more done in less time and from anywhere. You can work across any device, whether it's a tablet, a mobile, a laptop or a PC. This is all browser-based. We also have native iOS and Android applications, so you can work from anywhere with language no longer a barrier. So I mentioned earlier, for the most part, in Supportworks, communication actually happens outside of the tool. You'll log a ticket in Supportworks, but you'll be asking questions of your colleagues, whether it's an email or an instant message or a conversation. And that communication is not stored in Supportworks. It's not reusable. This is an area we refer to as tacit knowledge, knowledge that's difficult to document. And it's an area we really try to tap into in Service Manager, and Connor will show you how powerful that can be in a moment. Tacit knowledge is in contrast to explicit knowledge, which would be things such as FAQs, policies and procedure documents, the type of documents you'd store in a knowledge base. And we really tried to make life simpler in that front as well, and Connor will show you that shortly. So I mentioned earlier, Supportworks is a traditional piece of on-premise software, which means you have to, Hornbill will release a new version, you download it, you test it, you deploy it to a live environment, but you have to stop what you're doing in order to carry out the upgrade. Hornbill Service Manager is delivered as a true service. It's a native cloud application, which you're always up to date on using continuous deployment. Similar to Facebook or Google, you don't stop what you're doing in order to upgrade. You're just always up to date with the latest features. So what that means is there are no more complex and costly upgrades. All updates are automatic, keeping you up to date with the latest features without any service disruption and customizations that keep on working guaranteed. So on that note, I will pass you over to Connor to take you through Service Manager in action.
Thank you very much, Manish, and good morning, everybody. There are three different portals into Service Manager. I'm going to start with the self-service portal. If you haven't seen Service Manager before, we have if you have seen it before, we've got a brand new, very exciting application that will link in nicely with Service Manager. I'm going to touch on it, but obviously, as Manish will mention, if you want to see anything that you see today in a bit more detail, please get in touch with your relationship manager and we will happily book in a more detailed demo for you. Right, so as I mentioned, I'm going to start with the self-service portal. I'm going to log in as a gentleman called Steve Robinson. We do set up single sign-on, so we can link seamlessly to your ADFS server. You're using the protocol SAML 2.0, so there's no need for passwords or usernames or anything like that. All your users will log straight in. Steve, in this case, is using the portal as his one-stop shop. I say one-stop shop because Service Manager is equally at home with IT as it is with facilities or HR or finance or any other kind of department like that. The benefit for Steve in this case is that everything that you might need to get in touch with the business about is all in the one place on this one portal. So when he first logs in, we can see the bulletins flashing across the top. These are related to the services that Steve is subscribed to. So we can see straight away there is an issue affecting the link service. Our supplier is currently investigating. There is also an issue with the VPN, and he might want to get his Mac booked in for a deep clean, whatever that is. All of his services are neatly listed underneath the bulletins, segregated into different categories, into different tabs. If Steve wanted to go to a particular department, so finance or facilities, he can click on the relevant department offering, or we can click on all my services and see all of the services in neat icons directly beneath the bulletins there. All of the icons have got a brief description which we can expand and see more detail about if we want to, and we have some labels there just to give the user a bit more detail visually, so they don't need to go looking for that information if they want to. So the number in the top right shows the number of active requests the logged in user has against that particular service, and the icon in the top left will show if this service is impacted, and there is a message there that the service desk can provide underneath. So in that case, there is an issue with a VPN client and there will be an update here at 4 o'clock. Any active requests regardless of service are shown under the All My Requests tab. Any services that are impacted are also shown under the Impacted tab, and obviously any active services under the Active tab. Both of these tabs will only appear if there are impacted or active requests for that logged in user. And if the logged in user wishes to, they can set up favorites for the services, so they will be shown first and foremost when that user first logs in. If the user is brand new to the self-service portal, there is a federated search, so they can quickly search through the existing services, and the results will come split up into known issues, FAQs, catalogs and requests. So the user, I don't know, VPN, they might be having a slight issue with the VPN, so you can see there's a known issue there with that particular VPN. So let's say Steve in this case is working from home, he's having a bit of an issue connecting to the VPN. You can go to the VPN, the home working service. You can see some details. You can see SLA details, availability details, who the service owner is. And because there is a known issue with this particular service, the service owner, Graham in this case, has published a workaround to the self-service portal. The aim being to try and get Steve to have a go at the workaround. Hopefully that will fix his problem and he'll be able to carry on with his day. He can still let the service desk know that he's been affected by this particular known issue by clicking on this Me Too button. What that will do, that will include Steve on the number of connections with that known issue for the service desk, so that can be reported on, but Steve will be included on any communication about this particular known issue as the known issue progresses to resolution. If Steve wanted to find out some further information about this particular service, he can come to the frequently asked questions section, and the service owner could push out information about this particular service in the form of videos or text or hyperlinks. You can see how many times this particular article has been liked or disliked, how many times it's been viewed, and obviously all of these metrics can be reported on for KPIs and seeing how good each of these frequently asked questions are. Any active requests against this particular service will be shown under the Request tab, and if Steve still wants to make a request, he can come to the Make a Request tab, and this particular service has been split out into 3 different catalogue items. ITIL doesn't really mean anything in this case. Obviously the service desk know which one's going to be an incident, which one's going to be a service request, but from the customer's point of view, they don't need to know. They know that they're having an issue connecting to the VPN, in which case they'll just click on the VPN access catalogue item. Now this engine is all to do with gathering information from the customer without having to chase in for further information, so you guys can carry on this particular request, whatever it might be, through to resolution with all the information you need. So it's a decision-based system, but the aim is to let the customer be able to get in touch with you guys as quickly and as simply as possible, with minimal need for any kind of training or anything like that. So it's very, very similar, as Manish mentioned at the start, to those consumer applications people use on a day-to-day basis. Very, very simple. We have the breadcrumb trail on the right-hand side, and as I mentioned, the service desk can gather all the information they would need to be able to deal with this particular type of request. So do you have internet access? Yes. What's the error message? Failed to attach, and I'll just put test in there. On the right hand side, as you can see, everything we've been asked and everything we've been answered, and if we did want to link any assets to this particular user, we can import from most system management tools. And these are the assets that are currently linked directly to Steve, so a VPN access issue might be something to do with his laptop. If he wanted to search through the entire CMDB to link a asset that might not be linked directly to Steve, but he might still want to request something against, he can. In that case, I'm going to stick with the laptop, and it will come back with a reference number, IN for incidents, and the reference number in that case is 217. And we can see there's a heads-up display flashing across the top. Oops, sorry, that was me. And if I pin that there for a second, we can see we've just logged it, and the ticket has already been assigned to the first line support team. An email confirmation has already been sent, and everything that Steve has been asked and answered is there in the collapsible panels on the one page, no tabs or anything, and if he wants to update, he can post something in the update box, or if he wants to provide a screenshot or upload a document, it's all there for him. So the ideal situation here is that Steve wants an update to his particular request, he can come onto the portal and find it out for himself rather than having to bother the service desk for an update. And as I mentioned, the last bit that I'm going to discuss on the self-service portal is this bit in the bottom right, which is a brand new application called Live Chat. I know a lot of customers were very excited about this, and this is version 1 at the moment. So as I mentioned, most likely the next time you see it, there will be improvements, but this is a very exciting introduction. So if Steve wanted immediate assistance, whatever it might be, we have this pop-up in the bottom right. He can close it and it will go away, but at any point he can flip back to the live chat option in the top right there. So I'm going to try demonstrating this, but as I say, if you want to see this in further detail, please get in touch with your relationship manager. So I've clicked Start Chat and the chat window has appeared. Please wait while we connect you with an agent. So I'm going to flip over to the analyst side of things, and I'm logged in as Graham on the analyst side of things. So I'm going to come back to this in a bit more detail a bit later. First things first, in the notifications, in Graham's notifications in the top right, he can get these by email, via phone, or within the application here. First of all, the incident we just logged by Steve is in his notifications queue, so we can click straight into that. But the chat session that we've just initiated on the self-service portal is also being shown in Steve's notifications, Graham's notifications in the top right there as well, so we can click straight into that chat session if we want to. We've also got this icon in the left-hand side. Everything is roles and rights driven, so if Graham didn't have the rights to see this particular icon, he doesn't. But Graham in this case does, and you can see there is one active chat, one chat session has been initiated that needs to be picked up. So if we click into the chat sessions, we can see that session ID is there. Session has been created by Steve. User is waiting, so Graham can pick that up, accept it. There is a customizable response. Welcome, my name is Graham. How can I help you today? So obviously variables are taken into account there as well. And from Steve's point of view, we can type in text. We can take a screenshot and we can paste that in. We can take videos, screenshots. Oops. We can take videos. We can put hyperlinks. There's anything we might want in there, so the customer can get touched directly with the analyst or whoever you guys want to be able to pick up these live chat sessions. And from there, when everything's ready, we can mark it as resolved. The customer will hopefully have their issue sorted, and all the metrics on the right hand side, obviously the response time, the close time. If it's important to you, you can report on all of this. So that's another KPI that you could potentially use there if you wanted to. So as I mentioned, that is a brand new application. Feel free to obviously ask about it. If you want to see that in a bit more detail, please let us know. So I'm going to carry on with the rest of the demo now. First of all, this is our news feed, and as Manish mentioned, the information in this case that Graham is interested in is coming to Graham, but I'm going to come back to this in a bit more detail. I'm going to start with the service configuration, so how all of the icons got there on the self-service portal. And I'm going to stick with the home working service just because that's the one we just logged a ticket against. And I'll be honest, you'll probably see all the kind of standard stuff you'd expect to see in a request catalog type configuration here. This particular service is in the catalog status. We have these 3 named users subscribed to this service, so these 3 named users can actually consume from this service. We can spread this out to an entire company, a cost center, a department, internal, external, specific users if we want to. That's completely up to you who you want to be able to consume each service. The supporting teams, these are the users that, these are the teams that can actually support this service. Now that will provide an automatic partitioning, so if you wanted to bring on HR, for example, they have sensitive data, only these teams will be able to see anything related to that particular service. So HR in this case won't be able to see anything to do with this service. They will be working on the system oblivious, if you will. There are other users working on this particular system as well with them. Everything is automatically partitioned based on this architecture. As you saw on the portal, Graham is the owner for this particular service. It's currently not private, but again that will lock it down for sensitive data. It's visible on the portal, and as you saw on the self-service, it's impacted this particular service. Now everything comes together under the Request Configuration tab. Each call class can have its own set of catalog items, and those catalog items can have its own business process that's kicked off when this particular catalog item is requested from, and its own set of questions, which we call progressive capture. We can set our own icons, we can make it visible either just to the analysts or just to the self-service or both. If we have multiple languages, let's say we want to add in a language, we want this available in French. We can simply click French, click Translate, and then those details are translated into French. So if a French user logs onto the portal, this is what they would see. Another recent addition is this customer feedback section. So we can automatically push out questions to the customer once a ticket has been resolved. We can change the type of each question. We can make them mandatory, yes or no. We can even set when we want this particular question to expire, or set of questions to expire. The star rating is pretty standard, so it's up to us how we want to get the information from the customer. Moving on the different call classes, so as you can see there are different sets of catalog items per call class, and again it's the same with the customer feedback. There isn't any customer feedback defined against the service request for this particular service. So moving along, any active requests against this service are shown under the Request tab. Any assets that may underpin this particular service are shown under the Assets tab. The frequently asked questions we saw on the self-service portal are shown under the FAQ tab. How many times it's been liked, disliked and viewed, and obviously if that's all there it can be reported on. The bulletins that are flashing across the top, we can have as many of these as we want, but obviously only the subscribers to this service will be able to see them. And any SLAs that might be linked to this particular service. The final icon against the service is this Explorer icon. This is the Configuration Manager application. So it's a separate application, but it links in very nicely with Service Manager. Again, it can be used on its own if you want it to. If I click on that, this will show you the relationships between the record that we're currently looking at, in this case the home working service, and the rest of the system. So as you can see, there are the assets there that underpin that particular service, and there are lots of requests. So if I clear the knowledge down a bit and I get rid of the requests from the view, we can see we just have those two assets that currently underpin that service. So this service depends on those two items. We can have the bidirectional impact relationship if we want to, or if we want to expand that further and see the relationships to that particular asset, we can expand it from there as well if we want to. So it's all automatic, and you'll see that icon on most records within the system as we go through. So that's the service side of things. I'm going to flip across to show you how we configure those two essential parts, the business process and the progressive capture. So this is the admin tool. Again, it's all web-based. I'm using Chrome here. You can use any browser you want to. The only requirement is IE 10 or above. I'm going to start with the business process side of things. So you guys might know, Supportworks users even, the business process functionality in Supportworks is very, very powerful. But there's lots of tabs, lots of lists. We've introduced the graphical BPM flow, but I'm sure you'll agree this is much nicer to look at. So it's all drag and drop. So this is the only way to configure. There's no tabs or lists. Again, if I want an authorization at that particular point, it's as simple as that. But probably the best bit about this particular engine is the fact that it's non-prescriptive. With Supportworks, you have to have a response timer and a fixed timer against every ticket. That obviously has to start as soon as it's logged. You have to send an email when an action happens, whether it be logged, updated, resolved, something like that. With Service Manager, it's up to you how you want to work. It's very, very flexible. So in this particular situation, an email gets sent automatically. Each blue node is an automatic action. So as soon as a request comes in against this process, an email gets sent. It gets assigned to a particular team. It checks, is there a priority on the ticket? If there is, then it starts the fixed timer. So there's no response timer in this particular example. If there isn't a priority against the ticket, we wait for an analyst to pick up the ticket, to accept the ticket, and then we wait for the analyst to provide a priority, and once they have, that's when the timer starts. So as you can see, it's very flexible. It's up to you if you want to timer at all. It's up to you if you want to wait for an analyst. It's up to you if you want a process tool. You can make this as complex as you want or as simple as you want. As I mentioned, you don't need a process tool if you don't want one for a particular area of the business. There are 3 stages to this particular process: resolution and then feedback once it's been resolved. A very good example of what the process engine is capable of is the change process. In this particular example, there are 4 stages. On the planning stage, we have an impact assessment. That's a human task, the grey node there. We have 3 outcomes, completely definable outcomes. This is your fulfillment process, whatever that might be. So in this case, if it's high or medium, we need a backup plan, and then it will go down and gather some more details and go down to authorization. Whereas if it's low, it will just go straight to gathering the details, it will skip the backup plan and go straight to authorization. The authorization in this particular example, we have 3 named users. So this could be the cab, and we have a weighting of 100 each. So whoever gets there first will authorize a request against this particular process. We could break that down further, so 2 out of 3 are required, completely up to you. Scrolling down, the outcomes are completely definable. We can have this particular task expire. It needs to start on a particular time, it's due after a particular time, or expires after a particular time. We can pass variables through from the request. So if the IT manager might need to authorize a particular change request, but he's busy playing golf, there's no excuse. He can pick this up on his phone, and he still has the information he needs to authorize a request against this process. So scrolling down, once the authorization has taken place, if it's approved, it will kick on and move to the next stage. If it's rejected, it will be asked if there is a valid rejection, and it could potentially be resubmitted. And the other option is it expires, in which case the authorization task gets delegated either to their manager or whoever's defined in this particular node. So as you can see, it's very, very flexible. The other side of obviously the logging process is gathering the information that you need to be able to deal with this particular type of ticket. And a very good example is the new request progressive capture. So this is very similar to the self-service wizards in Supportworks. It's a decision-based system, so it works in a very similar way. The user will only ever see what they need to see based on their previous answer. But as you can see from my screen, it's graphical. It's much, much easier to see what's going on. If you had a brand new support analyst, you put them in front of this, they should be able to see what's going on, well, significantly easier than they would with Supportworks anyway. Each blue node is a question, and based on the answer to that question, it will go down a particular branch, and it could even switch process. If it's a new starter related process, it will jump to the new starter set of questions. It could come down here, it could be a desktop support related service, in which case it will ask the details. What type of request it is. So again, it doesn't need to be an incident or request. It can ask that throughout the actual set of questions. So this is exactly the same set of questions for the end user on the portal as it is for the analyst on the analyst side of things. And again, last point on there is all drag and drop. So again, if I wanted another question off the back of that service details question, I can say I want that particular form, and again, gather the information that I need to be able to deal with that particular type of request. So that's the administration side. So how does that actually look? I'm going to jump across to the analyst side again and look at the request list. Just quickly before I do, we've looked at how a ticket can come in via the self-service portal. We also have the shared mailbox functionality, whereby we can raise a request from an email that comes into the mailbox, or we can have this automatically picking up a particular type of mail based on preset logic and automatically logging or updating tickets as soon as the email comes in without any analyst intervention. So that's there, but I say I'm going to focus on the more traditional way. This is Graham's service desk view, so very similar to the service desk view in Supportworks, but obviously all web-based in this case. Very, very configurable again, just like Supportworks. So these are all Graham's incidents at the moment. Graham has the right to see all of these particular call classes. So again, just to point out, everything is roles and rights driven. If Graham didn't have the right to see changes, he won't see the icon at all. Nothing is ever greyed out or unclickable. Graham might want to see all of his requests regardless of call class, so there they are. Graham may be a member of different teams, so if you want to see all the change in the change team, there they are. Or if you want to see all of the tickets in all of Graham's teams, there they are. So we have quick filters based on the status of the request. In this case, we've got 138 requests. We have a quick filter in the top left. So if I want to see all VPN related tickets, I can type in VPN, and there are all the VPN related tickets. We can search on all of this data. So if I wanted to see all of Brian's tickets, I could type in Brian, and there are all the tickets where Brian is the owner, and Anna is the customer there. If I want to see all the tickets where Anna is the customer, I can type in Anna, and they're all Anna's tickets. So that's a quick filter to quickly sort through lots of information. At the same time, there may be a need for a more permanent view, so we have this views drop down. Now, this is very possible in Supportworks, but with Supportworks you would need to know where to go to set up this kind of view. You would need to know a bit about the database. So with Service Manager we try to take that complexity away, and the configuration for this particular view, high priority incidents, as you can see, priority is high, request type is incident, status is open. As long as the analyst knows the view they want to see, it's very, very easy to build. There's no technical knowledge required at all, no training required at all really. If I wanted to add in a condition just to show you how easy it is, let's say where the owner is Graham, owner is Graham, it's as simple as that. Each analyst can build their own views, and if necessary we can share these views amongst a team, particular set of users, or all the users that support a particular service. In this case, this has been shared with the first line support team, this particular view. Not only that, off the back of this view, we might want to see the same information but represented in a slightly different way. So we can set up charts. So in this, against this active high priority incidents view, we've got where they're sat by team, who owns these active high priority incidents, and where they originate from by site. So we can have mini charts per view, and what that will give you is this button in the top right to switch between the standard request view or my personal dashboards. As I say, each analyst can have their own dashboard, so each analyst can customize their view. If Graham wants to move this one to the right or wants to make this one bigger or smaller, that's completely up to Graham. And most importantly, if I want to see Daniel's high priority incidents, I can click in to that particular graphic and see Daniel's active high priority incidents. So all of that we can click into. At any point we can export the data straight into CSV, we can refresh the list, we can flip back to our home view, or we can set the view we're looking at as our home view. The final option on the right there is to customize the columns. So this is again very similar to Supportworks, but rather than going into the data dictionary we can just simply click on the button. So if I wanted to see when each ticket resolves, but I can click on that, and let's say I want to see that second, I'll just drag it up to the second, and I can even distinguish between the columns I want to see on a tablet or a phone. So that one won't be shown on a small screen now. If I save that, you can see the resolve by is now second. And again, all of these columns, if I click on the title, we can sort on them. So that's the request view. The actual logging process, if we want to log an incident or a service request, we can. Again, all rights driven, so as long as we have the rights to, we can. But a very common problem that we had from, very common bit of feedback, shall we say, that we had from Supportworks is that if Steve was on the phone right now, we'd answer the phone and we'd probably open an incident form. We'd ask who it is, we fill in the customer details, we'd ask what Steve's calling about, so we fill in that part of the incident form, and then we realise actually it's not an incident, it's a service request. So as you saw in the progressive capture, we don't have to gather this information straight away if we don't want to. So if Steve is on the phone, we have this raise new button. So if I click on that, we'll say who's calling. Oops, it's Steve. We can put a description on the right hand side to make sure we're talking to the right Steve. Are you calling about an active request, Steve? If so, here's an update. If not, we hit next. And these are all the services that Steve is subscribed to. We have the service filter again, or sorry, the category filter, so we can quickly flick to the finance services or the IT services if we want to. We do have HR services on here as well, but it's a good example of the automatic partitioning. Because I'm on the IT team, I don't see anything related to HR in this case. If there are catalogue items underneath each one of these services, we can select each one of these, and that will again kick off the relevant set of questions relating to that particular catalogue item. I'm going to carry on with this desktop support catalogue item in this case, and you can see the description on the right hand side. So what are you calling about, Steve? I have a VPN issue. I'll keep the VPN thing going on, so we know who's calling, we know what he's calling about, so at that point we now have enough information to classify this particular type of request. So we don't need to gather it up front, we can wait to find out what Steve is calling about first before we decide, is this an incident, is this a change, is this a request. So if I select the change, we're asked to upload a document. We can hit previous on the set of questions, or we can hit the previous stage on the breadcrumb trail on the right hand side, and actually no, this is an incident. And as you can see, it's a different set of questions because of my previous answer. So the user will only ever see what they need to see based on their previous answer. What's the priority? Let's say it's a medium priority. We have the breadcrumb trail on the right hand side again, so we can see exactly what we've been asked and what we've been answered. this VPN issue could be to do with his laptop. As I mentioned, if we wanted to search through the entire CMDB, finance printer, for example, it wouldn't be linked directly to Steve, but he might need to raise a request against that particular asset. So again, we can link multiple assets to the request, and they're all displayed nicely on the right-hand side there for you. So a brief validation, and it will come back with another reference number, IN for incident, but you can prefix that with whatever you want, date and time, or if you want to call that something crazy, you can. If we have a look at the tickets, the first thing we see again is the heads up display across the top. We've sent an email to the customer, we've assigned this particular request to the first line support team, and the priority has been set, and you can see the service level targets on the right hand side there. The only thing we haven't done on that first stage is to allocate an analyst. So because we haven't, the system is actually prompting whoever opens this ticket first to assign a member of the first line support team. So I'm logged on as Graham, and as you can see, nobody else on the team is in yet, so I'll pick it up myself. Click assign, the checkpoint gets ticked, and we move to the second stage. So all of that is automatic. We've also been assigned a task to resolve this desktop issue. So we've just logged the ticket, and as you can see, we're already on the second stage. There is some form of manual intervention, so if Graham wanted to update this ticket, he can type in the update box and click update, and that will go into the timeline directly beneath the details, all in chronological order. So everything's on the one page, there's no tabs or flicking around between tabs. If Graham wanted to add in a screenshot, I think I've already got a screenshot in there, he can paste that in and say, okay, Steve, this is what I'm seeing. Have a look at this. Is this what you're seeing as well? So Steve can pick that up on the portal, he can pick that up on his phone. It's completely up to Steve how he wants to see that information. He can come in and comment on that post, say, yeah, that's what I'm seeing. He can even post back in what he's seeing if he wants to. We've got resources available to us now that we didn't have when Supportworks was created. Google, so we can click on a custom button at the top and we can pass a variable from the record we're looking at through to a resource like Google, so we can automatically search for the summary in this case. Nowadays people might prefer to watch a video rather than read a long PDF or set of instructions, so again we can search YouTube. Whoops, I don't want to watch that. We can search YouTube for a variable again from the request, so this is the summary, and we can take the abbreviated URL across the bottom or the long one across the top. We can say, okay Steve, have a watch of this video, I think this will solve your particular problem. So again, as you can see, we can watch that video directly from the requests. We don't need to click it open YouTube on another tab, and Steve can pick that up on the self-service portal or via his mobile, wherever he wants to pick that up from. We can also search our internal workspaces, so that's basically the knowledge base, but I'll come back to that in a bit more detail. Lots of other options across the top here. We can schedule a callback, we can attach a file, we can link requests, we can send emails, we can look at the customer, we can assign, we can add in connections. This is a relatively new addition actually, I'll focus on this quickly. There may be other customers impacted by exactly the same issue. So from a service desk point of view, rather than having 10 tickets to deal with for the exact same issue, we've just got the one and we've got 10 impacted customers. There might be a manager of a particular team who wants to see an update or monitor the progress of one of their team members' requests, in which case they could be an interested party. It might be a secretary on behalf of the CEO, for example. So we can add in connected parties very quickly and easily, and we can include them on any communication that might go out about this particular request. Escalations, we can look at the assets, the boards, which I'll come back to, resolution, cancel, the Explorer icon again, so we can see any links across the system for this particular record, and we can print the details of this request if we want to. On the right hand side we've got a few different things. I'll start from the bottom. Tasks, we can add tasks on the fly if we want to. This particular task has been generated automatically by the process. If I wanted to edit this to show you what's possible, we can assign the task to a particular user or team. We can say it needs to start on a particular date and time, it's due by a particular date and time. We can attach a file, or we can add a checklist. So let's say this particular task is going to the networks team, and Graham is saying, okay, networks guys, you need to do 1 and you need to do 2. Save that. Networks can pick this up on their phone or via their tasks view if there's 3 different tasks view. So if network guys come in and say, all right, I've done one of those 2 things, Graham has an automatic progress bar that's created. So again, Graham can see how the network guys are doing against this particular task without having to chase them for an update or even look at the task if they want to. You can see a progress bar on the front there. The time that's been spent against this particular request is shown in the Timesheet Manager. That's another application, relatively new application, but again, all roles and rights driven, but the focus will be to gather the amount of time spent on each particular action against a particular request or across the system, and we can gather that into a report so we can see exactly where the time or most time is being spent. The final bit on here is the members functionality. This is part of the collaboration core. So if Graham in this case wanted to get a subject matter expert's opinion about this particular type of request, he can drop, let's say, Rosemary, who's the change manager, and drop Rosemary in. Now Rosemary, because she's the change manager, doesn't normally have rights to see incidents, but because Graham has added Rosemary in as an interested party, Rosemary's rights have been elevated so she can see this particular request. Graham can also then tag Rosemary and say, hey Rosemary, can you look at this? Excuse the spelling. But the point being that will go into the timeline. Rosemary will get a notification, whether it be on her phone or via the notification on the top right, and she'll be able to log straight in without any messing around with the rights and see the details and say, yep, that's the detail, or no, that's not quite right, or whatever the case may be. So very, very easy to get other people's opinions on what's going on there. If we wanted to search for requests from within the ticket, we can via the Raise New Request tab. So if I wanted to find any VPN related tickets just to see if there's anything out there already that might give us an answer, there are lots of requests, 33 in this case. So if I want to limit that down, we know there's a known issue from the portal, but obviously Graham in this case doesn't. We can limit it down to open problems. So the call class, the status, so we want an open problem, and the service if we want to filter on the service. If I search again, there's one open problem, VPN instability issues for users. So I can link that problem, and because there is a problem linked, first of all, the collapsible panel has now appeared. You only ever see what you need to see. And a solution icon has appeared because there is a workaround available against that particular problem record. So any linked tickets will have this workaround, available solution available to them. So Graham can have a look at the workaround and say, yep, that's the solution, or no, that's not quite the solution in this case. So lots and lots of options there. We've also created a few new views. We've got the change calendar, which is available in Supportworks. We've got this board view as well, which is a bird's eye view or a helicopter view of any particular area of the system. So we're looking at incidents. So the breach board is a very good example of this. A board for incidents approaching their fixed target. So we can have incidents, in this case, automatically being added to the board. We can break this board up into however we want to break it up, but in this case we've got it running off the time, so breaching today, breaching in 2 hours, breaching in 30 minutes, and ones when they have breached get moved into the breached column. So we can see the tickets, we can click into those tickets, we can see who the owners are. So if I clicked on the owner at the top, that will limit the view to just that owner's requests. So Daniel, in this case, you've got one that's about to breach and one that has breached. What's going on? Another couple of examples, the change management board. So we've split this up into the different stages of the change process. So it gets logged, it gets assessed, it gets moved to the cab, it gets approved, and it gets scheduled in and then passed over to review. And again, all of these views, Rosemary's changes, if I click on Rosemary at the top, that will limit the view to just Rosemary's tickets against that particular board. All of these we can drag and drop if we want to, but we recommend that you let the process take care of that for you. So at any particular point in time, if Rosemary wanted to see the state of play of the change process as a whole, you can click on this and see an up-to-date representation. The process will move these across the board for you. Just quickly while we're here, development, we use it internally for developments. Procurement is another good example of what you could use it for. Someone wants a new iPhone, it will go to their manager for approval. If it gets approved, it will get moved to ordered, and then once it's arrived, it will be marked as delivered. And we've got the colour codes there just to quickly show at a glance ones that have been resolved and potentially ones that have been cancelled. So lots and lots of options there. Just quickly, we've got all these apps down the left-hand side. We've got the assets. As I mentioned, we can import from various different asset sources. Probably the most common are system management tools like SCCM or Cetero or Centennial or any of those kind of sources we can import from, no problem at all. Just to show you an example of an asset when it has been moved in. All of the details we want to store against it. It's completely up to you how much information you want to capture. Because this particular asset is a computer system, we have computer-related additional properties. So again, there are lots and lots of fields that we can store information in, but because we've only got these two fields populated, they're the only two that show. We can link documents, so the sales receipt in this case, we can link requests, we can link assets. So as you can see, the Explorer icon there, so that will show you the relationships across the system if you want to see it in a bit more graphical format. We've also got the automatic audit trail, so any change against this particular record will be shown what's changed and to what time and date it changed and who changed it. We have a quick filter if there have been lots of changes against any particular record. We can filter through all of that history, but that's being automatically gathered. We can also add custom buttons to, well, we can add custom buttons to any type of record, but a good example here is the remote control. So we can automatically pass through a variable to a resource like TeamViewer, and if I had it installed, I'm not going to go through that, if we had it installed, that will automatically log straight onto that particular record, whatever we might be looking at. So very, very easy to set these custom buttons up. You can use them for Skype or a web front end. Landsweeper is very, very common for these custom buttons, but lots and lots of things we can do there. The timesheet manager, I'll just quickly show you an example of the report. I showed you how we can gather the time on the request there. Let's have a look at what's going on in October. So you can see there's been lots of time spent on tasks, but not very much spent on sending emails. There's been a little bit on updates and resolutions. This is specifically for Graham, but we can break it up to a user if we want to. So that's the first line support. In this is my demo kit, I suppose, is just Graham in this case. But as you can see, we have the automatic report based on the time spent, and it's up to us how we want to gather that information and what's important for us. Assets, service desk, document manager we haven't talked about. So if we come back to the top, as I mentioned, this is what an analyst will see when they first log in. This is Graham's newsfeed. Each analyst will see what's relevant to them based on their interests, what they're interested in, but the information they are interested in is coming to them rather than them having to go looking for that information. So Graham can see when he first logs in, this particular change has been approved by the CAB. We can click into it if we want to. As you can see by this next one, any update to this process is automatically pushed to the same post. So that particular change, upgrade VPN software, has been successfully implemented and a change review has been completed. That one has been closed off. Thank you very much. Documents, so we can see updates to documents. People are commenting on these documents. Another change, people are liking each post, so validating that particular post, whatever it might be. Major incidents. Graham is following this particular incident, so this is very similar to the watched calls view in Supportworks. Graham, if I click into it, is not the customer, he's not the owner, but he has a vested interest in this ticket for whatever reason, and he gets the updates by simply clicking this follow or unfollow button. So any updates to this ticket will be pushed to Graham, so Graham doesn't need to go looking for that information. So a few different examples there, but Graham is a member of these different workspaces. There could be lots more workspaces, but Graham is only interested in these areas of the business. And the underlying point of all this, if I look at the first line FAQs workspace, James is in the first line team and he's asking a question. And obviously any member of this particular workspace will be seeing this update automatically on their newsfeed. James is pushing, has posted an image with this. My customer is trying to delete a folder, is getting this particular error message. Two people are then coming back and answering that question. They're in different languages, but it doesn't matter because we can click on that button and we can see it in our language, whatever that might be. We've got two answers, Pablo's and Pierre's. 4 people have validated Pablo's answer. So James will probably try Pablo's first, and most importantly, because it's being asked and answered in this forum format, that information is there forevermore. So in a year's time, if someone had the exact same issue as James here, they can search through the workspaces, find this post, and again, they've got 2 answers to choose from, and they'll probably go with Pablo's first, because as I mentioned, 4 people have validated that particular answer. So if I scroll down, if I take TrueSource VPN, I'll keep with the VPN theme, copy that, I can post that into the global search at the top. That's always available wherever you are in the system. Search there, and we can see there are 11 search results. It could be even more in a year's time, so I can filter that down based on the date it was posted, who posted it, and the workspace it was posted in. I've just copied it from the first line FAQs workspace. If I search again, that's limited it down to just 2 results. If I click on that top one, in fact they're probably both the same post, this is the post that we've initially copied that variable from. So as I say, that information is there to be reused over and over, and the main aim will be that the subject matter expert can answer it once, and he doesn't need to be bothered over and over again for the same answers. So that's the collaborative side of things. Tacit knowledge, as Manish will tell you now. The other side of the knowledge is a more structured knowledge called Document Manager. This, we can store PDFs, Word documents, Excel documents, whatever type of documents you want. But what this is trying to address is all of those network locations with the dodgy naming conventions. You're not quite sure if that's the latest version. If it's all in this central place, then you know it is. You can see a timeline, everything that's happened against each of these documents. You can keep a revision of each of these documents. So we can open each version but publish the one that we want to publish when we're ready. We can share these with particular users. We can give each user particular rights. We can keep tasks if we want to. We can keep tags against these documents so we can quickly filter on them. So these tags, for example, the change management process. If I typed in change there and search that, that's our change management document. We've also got this tag cloud, which is a graphical representation of all of these tags. So where's our change management process? The tags that are used the most are shown the biggest. When you click into all of these, so our change management process there, it's only used once against that one document. So we can click into that and there's our document again. We can set review dates, lots and lots of things we can do there, but those two sides of the knowledge we can store all the information on here that we might want to. So lots and lots of choices there. The last thing I'm going to show you before I hand back to Manish is the reporting side of things. We have the kind of standard reporting suite, which is always being enhanced. Obviously, the beauty of this system is anything that, with continuous deployment methodology, we're releasing 2 or 3 times a week, and as soon as we do, you will just get it automatically. The whole upgrade thing goes away. Just hit refresh, and you've got the latest and greatest. We've got this new level, so the third level of reporting in the system, the advanced analytics, and this takes. There are 4 parts to this advanced analytics section. The first one is the trending engine, which we call measures. We set up what we want to measure. We set a target, so incidence log per month, we want less than 15. That will go away and gather the data automatically per month. As you can see there, by highlighting the number, we can see the start and end date of the sample time. If it's less than the target in this case, it's good. If it's over, it's red and bad. And we've got a spark line to see a rough trend of how we perform against that particular target. Once we've got all of this defined, we can pass that through to a widget. And a widget can take many different types. It's a bit of information, so it's up to you how you want to show this particular bit of information. I'll just have a quick look at one of those. Annual comparison of monthly tickets raised. It's a pretty good example. It's a very clear chart, and we can put that onto a dashboard. And the dashboard, if I have a quick look, again, many different types. One for knowledge, one for incidents, one for customer feedback, and analysis of tickets being raised. And then once we've got many dashboards, we can put them all onto a slideshow. In this case, we've got lots of dashboards, each scrolling across either 10 or 5 seconds. If I quickly play that, as you can see, these are very high-level widgets. Incidents resolved today, incidents within 30 minutes of breaching. A bit more detail, we've got graphs. We can have the graphs side by side, or we can have them stacked. Tickets raised per day, per hour, per source. Lots and lots of different options there. A bit more high level, that could be above the service desk on a screen. It's completely up to you how you want to show this information. This is a good example of the frequently asked questions, top 10 viewed FAQs, most searched for terms, top 10 end user providing feedback, and FAQ viewed once or less. So lots and lots of different choices there. And on that, I'm going to hand you back to Manish.
Thank you, Connor. That was a great demo. Just to remind everyone, please do continue to ask your questions. We are going to address them at the end of the session. Just to close up now, we're going to look at our commercial offering, some of Hornbill's key differentiators, and our Supportworks to Service Manager migration package. So I'd like to share our core values as a company with you. Customer first, we're committed to working with our customers and being responsive to your needs. Partnership through collaboration, we work in partnership with our customers, and we value the feedback that you provide, whether it's through our forums, through our user groups, or any other interactions with us. And quality not compromised, we aim to be world-class in everything we do, whether it's our people, our processes, or our technology. And for the reason of quality not compromised, we actually offer no fixed-term contract with Hornbill Service Manager, which I'll come on to in a moment. So we're doing something quite different from other vendors in our industry. We want you to be 100% satisfied that this system is right for you. So we're offering a 100% risk-free 30-day satisfaction guarantee. What that means is you put us to the test. We'll give you your own instance of Hornbill Service Manager completely free of charge for 30 days. You can try it out in your own environment, with your own data, with your own integrations. We'll assign a product specialist to you who will configure the system and implement it your way. Your product specialist will train you up and give you the knowledge and expertise you need to manage the system going forward. And at the end of the 30 days, the choice is yours. You can either start subscribing or walk away without obligation. The reason we offer this free of charge 30-day trial and implementation is to really remove the risk from yourselves so you can make an informed decision about whether this system is right for you. So how does Hornbill stand out from the crowd? So I mentioned earlier, this is a true cloud service rather than a traditional piece of on-premise software. So all updates are automatic, customizations keep on working, so you're always up to date with the latest features without any service disruption. You concentrate on service delivery, let Hornbill take care of the rest. Price for life is a guarantee we offer whereby the pricing level you sign up to will stay the same for the entire length of time you're a customer. If we raise our prices, you won't be affected. Better still, you'll get automatic discounts over time through the effect of inflation. Train for life is a guarantee we offer whereby we will train up your solution champion as part of the implementation, as I mentioned earlier. However, if your solution champion leaves the organization, if they're replaced, if they're promoted, whatever it may be, we will train up their replacement free of charge. And we will continue to do this for the entire length of time you're a customer. And this will avoid the situation that I mentioned earlier where your administrator leaves the organization and takes all of that knowledge with them. And no contract tie-in. So I mentioned earlier, quality not compromise, and for that reason, we want happy customers, not contractually bound customers, so we allow you to cancel your contract at any time for any reason. The reason we offer this is quite simple really. It forces Hornbill to offer a great value, quality service, otherwise our customers could simply walk away. So how much does it cost? We offer a simple, scalable pricing model starting at £42.50 per user per month with a minimum of 10 users. There is a volume discount applied, so the more users you have, the lower the unit cost. Here's just a selection of some of our customers that have already made the switch to Hornbill Service Manager. As you can see, they come from all sorts of industries and backgrounds. Two that I wanted to mention in particular. Firstly, Aylesbury Vale District Council, who migrated from Supportworks to Service Manager back in 2015. This was part of their drive to move to an infrastructure-free environment. You'll be interested to know Aylesbury Vale actually won the Best Small Service Desk Award at the SDI event in April. iDocs are another company that I wanted to mention who also moved from Supportworks to Service Manager back in 2015. iDocs are a supplier of software and services to the UK public sector. One of their key concerns was the migration of core data from Supportworks to Service Manager, and as you can see from the quote from Martin, we transferred around 10,000 records over the course of a weekend for them. So just to finish now, as a Supportworks customer, we'll go over and beyond the free of charge implementation and trial that I mentioned. We'll actually migrate over your core data to Service Manager if you wish. We will also credit back any unused support and maintenance from Supportworks. You will qualify as long as you're an existing customer with an active contract. If you wish to move forward, do let your relationship manager know as soon as possible. We are experiencing extremely high demand at the moment, so there is limited availability. We're also considering phasing out the free of charge migration service that we're offering. So I would advise you to let your relationship manager know as soon as possible to avoid disappointment. So that's all from us today. Thank you very much for your time. We've received various questions which we will address now. Let's just have a look here. Okay, first one, where will my data be held? So I'll take that one. Your data will be held based on your geographical location. So for example, if you're based in Europe, your data will be in Europe. If you're in North America, it will be in North America. Okay, next one, I am interested in moving to Service Manager, but my support and maintenance renewal for Supportworks is due. What should I do? Again, I'll take this one. We'd advise you to carry on and renew your support and maintenance contract for Supportworks because we will actually refund back any unused support and maintenance from Supportworks once you start subscribing to Service Manager if you wish. So please do carry on with your renewal and we can discuss the migration to Service Manager following on from that. Maybe one for you here, Connor. Do I have to migrate my call data over from Supportworks to Service Manager?
No, that's up to you. We can do it for you. That'll be free as part of the switch on, but it will be a simple set of queries via an import script, a predefined import script that will sit on your Supportworks server. Will gather up all the data that you want to move across and fire it across to the cloud, as I say, if you want to move that. Some customers want to start fresh, which is completely fine. Other customers want to move across historical call data, which is absolutely fine. The only thing I will say, it's linked to call data specifically. If it's customers, we'll link to AD. If it's asset data, we'll link to your data source, SCCM or Centennial or whichever system you might be using. But any assets or customers related to call data, we will move those, they'll all be contained within the ticket, so we can move that across for you, no problem at all.
Okay, and the last question here, is there a minimum number of subscriptions required to sign up? There is. There's a minimum number of 10 user subscriptions for Hornbill Service Manager. So yeah, that's the minimum number there. The pricing starts at £42.50 per user per month with a minimum of 10, and there is a volume discount applied, so the more users you have, the lower the unit cost becomes. Okay, I think that's all of our questions answered there.
Thank you, Management Connor, for taking us through that presentation. I hope everyone found it useful. If you have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to contact me or your relationship manager. Finally, thank you everyone for your time today. Goodbye.